Metabo HPT has a new 36 volt 7¼ inch blade right circular saw out that has torque boost. The best way to show this is actually to get right into cutting. So this saw has two modes. It's going to have its automatic mode and its torque boost mode. In automatic mode, it's going to go between 6,000 RPMs and 4,500, depending on if you want speed or it feels it needs the torque. In torque mode, it's going to limit it to 4,500 RPMs. Basically, I set this up and I put a 2x4 underneath here. I'm going to try to make this first cut just outside the 2x4 so that it can go in high speed the whole way. Then we'll run it through this in automatic next. So let's start this guy out in high speed mode. This saw remembers whatever mode it's been in, so we're just going to go through this cut, and this should be a pretty quick cut. If you do hear it bog down or change the motor a little bit, it's going to be because we just got into that 2x4. Let's go. We managed to make that cut without hitting the 2x4 at all. This cut we will. Again, we're in the automatic mode here, so all it's going to do is change its RPMs, and it's going to do that rather than cutting out. So it's going to allow us to cut fast, hit more torque, and then cut fast again. Now what I heard, it never came back out of the torque mode after it went down. So let's just start this out and run the whole thing through a torque mode and see what it sounds like. Running in torque mode, it still cuts pretty quick. Obviously, it's down to 4,500 RPMs, but with that said, you don't have the lag that you would like in other saws where you might have 6,000 no load RPMs. This one's going to hold that 4,500, keep you going through, and you can hear the different tones in the motor as it puts more power to it and takes it away. So the big question that I have, what about our rear handle saw and how will that handle this same cut? So let's just run a cut through and see if there's much of a difference. Obviously we have blade differences. That was the same battery, but either way, let's run this through on automatic mode and just give another comparison. It definitely cuts faster in the beginning, without a doubt. Once it hits the high torque mode here, it never comes back out of the high torque mode, which I don't see it as a big problem. We obviously have a knot here, but it's very, very interesting. This cut's going to be single 2x lumber the whole way, so we are in automatic mode. It should simply run through this and stay in it. I'm going to push it a little bit though to see if we ever get it to hit into the high torque mode. That is a quick cutting saw. Good old Home Depot lumber here. This is a very heavy, sappy piece of wood. It also has one heck of a twist in it. We're going to cut this at a 45 degree. We are again in automatic mode here. So let's just see how this goes as we probably do close to a full depth cut in this lumber at the 45 degrees. So it made it halfway through before it actually dipped into the high torque mode, which is interesting. The high torque mode is also available for you to use if you have, hardwood rather than a softer wood. You can just go right into it, but the automatic mode is hard to pass up. Let's just take and cut this down again right here. We're going to try to cut straight along this line, even though this board is incredibly twisted, and just see how it does. So we cut all the way through that board in high speed mode, not high torque mode, basically automatic. Being a 36 volt saw, you can also use the AC adapter. This board's pretty twisted, but let's try to make one more cut here and see what we can do. We hit high torque mode right at the end, right in that knot. This thing cuts really fast, and it's neat to hear it go between the different modes, not have a single cutout. Let's just hit some quick specs on this 7 1/4 inch 36 volt saw, 6,000 no load RPM in the automatic mode. It sounds like it's really going up there. If we just push and go into the high torque mode, 4,500 RPM. Big difference in sound there, and some people might look at that as the high torque mode is more of a silent mode if you're using it inside, but you're also going to get a lot more torque that's going to come out of this motor. That to me is very interesting when using it, because we didn't have any cutouts. You could push this saw and it cut very, very quickly. So Metabo HPT didn't have to balance the power that's going to this motor based off of cutting fast or high torque. They just put in the modes, let it sense it, and we're allowed to push this thing through just about anything. We have a 56-degree bevel capability, but it'll stop at 45. Pretty nice, easily set up. It's got a nice magnesium, or it could be aluminum, shoe on the bottom. You have a place for a fence that would screw in, and you have optional dust collection. That would be something that would be nice to have. You have to buy that after the fact. Of course, you have a rafter hook here. This rafter hook is going to sit in multiple places. It's going to be interesting how it's going to work with this handle up front, because it really isn't going to work off to the side. But I'd be curious as to how that would work. The switch lock off is ambidextrous. You can use it either way. Obviously, to me, this is a left-handed person's saw. I was always cutting on the shorter side of the shoe, which would have been nice if we could have switched it around the other way, but then we have the sawhorses in the way. As far as the arbor lock, you have the arbor lock here. It's pretty simple. You have a standard tool that is on that side. You can take the blade on and off. The depth control is very simple. In the back, works easy. Very standard like other saws, along with an LED light in the front. Big difference is the high torque mode. Metabo HPT's 36 volt stuff is pretty stellar. The downside to it is you have to buy it online. So at this point in time, it's not available in any stores. Most of their 18 volt tools are available in stores, but these days, if you're going to buy a circular saw, 36 volt is really where it's at. Nice part about that, these multi-volt batteries work between the 18 and 36 volt platforms. And while we pushed this and the battery did get slightly warm, it definitely did not get hot. And we still have 3 of the 4 bars left on the battery. So that's pretty good. This is gonna last a long day out there in the job site or in the DIY world. You're gonna be able to make a ton of cuts with this. As far as I'm concerned, I love the saw. I love the speed. I'm not a big fan of blade right. That's going to be for you to decide what you like. But I like the modes. It's kind of interesting. When I first saw it, I was like, I don't understand why we need the modes. Just let the saw do its thing. But if we wanted to stay in high torque mode, or if we want to just let it rip, we have that ability. It's a button, not an app. It makes it simple, so I understand it. This saw is again nicknamed the Stud, and you'll see it on the box when you're looking around. And if it's in the title, that way you'll know you're getting this exact saw. I assume they named it that just because it's going to be used in framing a lot of the times, and it just seems to fit. This is a framing saw, allows people to go between fast cuts, high torque cuts, go to different woods, go to LVLs, all that different stuff, and really make a good saw in a blade right version. I'd love to see this same thing in a blade left. That would be absolutely amazing. Maybe they're going to update that rear handle saw a little bit to something similar like that. That would be quite interesting also. Absolutely love that rear handle Metabo HPT saw. It's nice, lightweight, easy to use, and quite fast in its cutting. Comments below. Give us a like on this video. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.